Immediately, the wall Viper throws out isn't the most effective, as the way he positions means enemies can play drop and have a clear view of main. A wall like that would indicate it's a split, since you can protect teammates from enemies crossing to site, but a simple wall that blocks off drop will be the correct one when you're all pushing through main like you are now. That way you can easily pass through to site without dying to the drop player. Okay, the nade, which you can clearly see isn't the best because it's not hitting the common areas. For example, it's likely an enemy will play here or here, but that nade landed in this area and you can clearly see no one is here, meaning it's not displacing an enemy or doing much damage as no one's there. Look to bounce the nade off this wall to land here or in this area. Secondly, when you see a sage wall, be cognizant and wary, as she'll either play on the wall or beside it. You commonly see this especially in ascent main, where you can box yourself here or be main. So just keep that in mind next time you push a site and see a sage wall. Unfortunate as your breach was AFK, and had he been there it would have made your life 10 times easier entering. And the simple reason is a flash or a stun will essentially neutralize the sage, giving you the pathway to push site and potentially kill the sage. The rest of the round is you lot just stand one by one and getting pinched, so we're just going to skip past that.
Yep.
Sage on my ping.
120 on neon.
You're aware that the enemies can push through CT, and the neon running was that confirmation, which is why you're holding in a way that the neon peeks into your crosshair. And by having it this far out, you're prepared for both scenarios. If she peeks narrow, you can just flick towards her, and if she peeks wide, she's into your crosshair. Although you did miss the initial shot, your awareness to not fully commit and actually strafe to reset the spray was impressive considering the rank you're at. And even when you couldn't get the final blow, you took the time to reset and readjust your shot several instances, which shows to me that you have an understanding of the Vandal and how it behaves, as well as your movement and using that to be efficient with the Vandal. As let's be honest, how many of us would have started doing this, instantly spraying and crouching the moment we see an enemy, even after we missed the initial shot?
Yep.
There's guys on A.
Wait, don't break it. Now you can.
No escape.
A lot of issues with how you peek the enemy Raze. Firstly, before you approach the angle, you need to be wary that an enemy can peek you, and if they do, you need to be prepared by simply having your crosshair in that general area. Just like how I'm approaching this angle, I'm still having my crosshair here so that if they peek like this, I'm prepared. Think of it like a safety net. Now look at how you approach arcade. It's vastly different, right? If an enemy peeks you, you have to readjust your crosshair from down here to up here. And Deadlock won't be able to help you as she's throwing neutral, so more than likely you're both gonna die, instantly putting your team at a 3 versus 5 disadvantage. And when you do peek, your visualization of the angle is off, as you're pre-aiming what I'd like to think is this spot. But instead, you've now exposed yourself to this area while still pre-aiming. If you just take a step back and ponder, what is pre-aiming? It's a form of active aiming where you eliminate the need to adjust your crosshair mid-fire by already aiming at that spot, so when you do peek, using the strafe key, you're prepared. The way you're pre-aiming is almost counterintuitive, and when the time came to shoot, your crosshair was aiming at the knees of the Raze while she was aiming at head level, resulting in you dying instantly. This is where practice comes in by heading into custom games, doing this exact same scenario, or playing DMs and practicing how to peek properly. If you want an in-depth guide on how to pre-aim, check out my guide in the top right corner.
Yeah, Neon's here as well.
Down B. 30 seconds left.
Spike planted.
I'm nowhere.
Not sure why you're making your life much harder. You have arguably the two strongest attacking agents on Fracture when paired with each other, which is Raze and Breach. So why not utilize that? Look to nade off Breach's stun or request a flash and satchel in. There's a plethora of scenarios you can overwhelm the enemies. For instance, instead of going arcade solo with the deadlock like the previous round, head to main and ask for a vibe pool like this and a stun from the breach. From there, a simple nade on boxes and a stun here from the breach followed by a satchel will allow the team to get onto the site, and if there's an enemy there, it's literally a free kill. Remember, this goes for other agents such as Sky or Jet where you can flash and dash. The way you position your crosshair whilst moving is just wrong. Multiple points, especially throughout the game so far, where it's in what I like to call no man's land. At what point is having your crosshair this low at a common area effective? Sure, there's no one there, but can you guarantee someone won't peek? No, right? How often do you see players peeking or re-peeking this spot? Pretty common. So just be mindful and maintain proper head level crosshair placement. If a plat player that's peak diamond is exhibiting this level of head level crosshair placement, then there's issues that need to be addressed. Also, stop peeking in one motion and limit the overuse of the W key when approaching common spots. For example, you went from here to here without letting go of that W key, going past several hot zones. When you're approaching an angle, an enemy can be there, so you need to stop and peek. And when you're moving in one motion using the W key, you're making your life much harder and the enemies easier as you're moving in a relatively straight line. When you're approaching an angle or a hot zone, let go of the W key and use the D or A key to strafe. So for this particular scenario, as you're approaching this angle, you need to be holding the W and D key, let go of the W key and press the D key to strafe the necessary distance. If you like an in-depth version of how to peek, check out my in-depth guide on peeking covering several topics such as slicing the pie.
I'll smoke just before. Or flash even. Or stun. Yeah.
Don't be too hard on yourself. I personally wouldn't say ADS is bad from here, but it requires a lot of confidence on hitting that shot, as not only do you shoot slower, but you move slower. So when you're in the open like here, and you're strafing like you did, it's not as effective. Whereas if you hip fired and you strafe, you'd have a lot more success killing that race who fully committed to the spray. To work on this, just head into the range and shoot some bots from this distance and work on ADSing.
Wait, I got now. Stun. Flash.
In this corner.
Fantastic that you're both taking control of Dish, but I'd like to point out is how you fought the Sky. The aftershock from the breach essentially forced her into this area, and you can kind of hear, or you can hear there's a distinct footstep which sounds like this, and that's from the Sky confirming she's here. When you have that much information and certainty on the position of an enemy, try to take advantage and almost guarantee the kill. For instance, hear me out, as you're approaching this area, throw out a satchel so that if the Sky peeks, you satchel, forcing her to slightly bounce, messing up her aim, and she's pretty much dead. And if she stays in the same spot, throw out the satchel still and just detonate it, then peek, so that when you're peeking, she's basically kinda in midair, like how you see on the screen right now.
Yeah, they're coming in. It's it.
Just play for retake with my ult.
I can't.
I mean, I don't even need to tell you why staying in a hot zone like here and having your crosshair like this is a dumb idea. If the enemies decided to push drop and main, you're ruined. If they push main, you're also screwed because of the position you're at. So you have to stay there and fight. Remember, if you're playing the anchor role or solo holding a site, playing positions that allow you to freely exit unless you have the util to stall, like a brim smoke plus molly or a sage slow, etc. Especially when your teammate has an ult that makes retaking 10 times easier. And instead of going CT to get the heal and regroup and retake, you decide to take sand control with 30 HP and a guardian. It's these small mistakes and decisions that are costing you rounds.
Someone's shooting B.
Flash again, flash.
Raises B. Raises B long.
Hit 120. Raze. swing.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks. You guys done well to get control of the whole of A main and CT. And on top of that, they had no idea on where you were. They didn't know you were playing in this position. Yet you still shot like this. When you hear a Raze about to satchel, hold slightly further out. Because if she satchels, it makes it much easier for you to land that shot. And you can still recorrect your shot. But when you're holding tight like this and she satchels, you're going to have to flick quite wide. And it's going to make life much harder. So keep that in mind the next time you hear a Raze about to satchel. If you enjoyed this style of VOD reviewing, let me know in the comments. If you didn't, check out my other VOD reviews. And as always, until next time.